It was so exciting to learn a lot of new idea and high-tech invention this morning. But I'm going to turn the channel to a low-tech topic. The topic I'm going to talk today is technology, politics, and nature. And in last year, the Chinese President, Mr. Xi Jinping, decided to send all the artists to the countryside because because those artists are very busy in making money in the entertainment industry. They did not know the reality in China so well. And there's a report from The Guardian about my projects. And they said, oh, about 5 years ago, this artist already did so. It's talking about myself, Ning. And actually, I keep criticizing the over-urbanization situation in China for more than 10 years. In 2003, I was commissioned by Venice Biennale to make a research and documentary film projects about the urban village in the southern capital, Guangzhou. So you can see at the beginning of the 1980, the economic in Guangzhou developed very fast, and the city need a lot of land. And then the government grabbed the land from the suburban, from some village along the city, and then they sell the land to the developer. So when the developer built a lot of a building along the village became an urban village. The government grabs the land from the farmer, but did not provide any job opportunity for themselves. And then the villagers have to make living by themselves using their property. And then the urban village became a high-density area in the city, which a lot of immigrant people moving, and they living in a very bad situation. And because of the farmers lose their land, nobody doing farming, so China will become the top farm products importer in the coming 10 years. That actually made the food situation in China very, very dangerous. And in 2005, I was commissioned by the German Federal Cultural Foundation to make another urban research and documentary projects about the slum, 大石栏, in Beijing before the Olympic game. And it's another problem during the urbanization process in China. And the 大石栏 was located very close to Tiananmen Square. And because the Beijing government have historical protection policies, all the building in front of the Forbidden City is not allowed to higher than the Forbidden City. So there's no perfect space for the developer. So all the hot money moved to the eastern Beijing. And then the southern Beijing, there's no money for developing. And then the area, the 大石栏 area, became a slum with people who living under $1 every day. And before the Olympic Games, the local government decided to demolish a street to get it wider for the traffic for the Olympic game. And some people like Mr. Zhang Jingli start to protest for his property. So actually, urbanization, it's kind of redistribution of the social resources. It was radical more than a revolution. And so it put China in a very, very bad and dangerous political situation. At the same time, because the the city became bigger and bigger. All the population moved from the rural area to the big city, and the big city have to face the traffic problem, and also the air quality problem. This is a very famous photos because in Beijing, it's so difficult to see a blue sky, and then on the Tiananmen Square, the government make a LED photo of blue sky on the square. So the photo is a very the photo show actually the air quality in Beijing. It's so bad. That is why I decided to move from Beijing to the countryside. And okay, because during the past 30 years, the China working on the to develop the economic, and actually China pays a lot of environmental costs during the past 30 years, and also the central government also faced a lot of political crisis. There's a lot of protests about the property and land issues in the countryside. Also, there's some protests about the environmental movement. And okay, since all the population moved to the city and nobody doing farming in the countryside, so the agriculture almost stopped from the past 30 years. And in the rural society, there's only old people and children left. All the young people moved to the city. And the rural society also become empty. And you know that actually the villagers, the farmer in China actually contribute a lot for the country. During the past 30 years, they contribute land, they contribute labor, they contribute all the resources for the state, for the country, but they cannot share any achievement of the country. And because, you know, because internet, China connected with the internet I think in 1990. This is a new term for the Chinese people. At the same time, the internet actually empowered the people and also make the society and reality invisible, and also get the entrance to the society lower for the people. So that is technology engage and create a new political model today. Let's say in the global level, today the party politics, which kind of representative politics. That means you have some political issue you want to talk, you need to fire a lawyer or you need to fire a party. Even in China, the People's Representative Congress, it's a kind of this party politics model, but it doesn't work now. And then people looking for civil society and hope a lot of NGO that can help the society. But actually today, NGO, it's more like a company, like a PR company. But with the internet, the ordinary people actually now in Asia or in China, they created a new kind of a political model. We can call it informal life politics. That means people, they don't depend on party, they don't depend on NGO, they don't depend on journalists, they depend on, they do not depend on the capital or commercial power. They depend on themselves. They develop a lot of self-organization and trying to build a better community and living situation for themselves. So that is a term, informal life politics, that one professor in Australian National University to define my projects, Bishan projects. I started this project in 2011. At the very beginning, I actually visited a lot of villages in China. Finally, in 2011, I decided to select Bishan, a village in southern Anhui, as my working base. And this is a very beautiful village with very beautiful natural landscape, with a lot of historical resources, with very beautiful Anhui-style vernacular architecture. And in 1960 and 1970, during the Cultural Revolution, actually there was a lot of public event happening in the village because there's a lot of public life. But actually, the villagers participate in this public event not because they are interesting, because it was mobilized by the state. But at the end of 1980, because the production, the agricultural production wave was divided into the family model. So in the rural area in China, there's no any collective life anymore. And before I start this project, I put my idea on a notebook, a Moleskine notebook, including some idea about anarchy and ruralism. Ruralism, which is kind of an anti-urbanism idea. And then I purchased an old house in the village and get it as my working base. And in 2011, we organized the Bishan Harvest Festival in the village. We invite a lot of villagers to performance in the public building. At the same time, we collect a lot of historical photos of the village to exhibit for them. And also, we have this literature event to invite some poets to teach, to talk about the poetry for the young kids in the village. And also, we organize the public, the open air cinema. And also, we trying to activate the local economics through to fund this market every month to help people, to help the villagers to sell their products. And also, we invite a lot of designers and artists to redesign the packet for the agricultural cultural food. And invite some architect to design the public lighting system for the villagers. Also, we donate some sculptures to the villagers. When we was in the village, we also want to make Bishan as the base of the knowledge production. So we publish a lot of book which actually based on the historical topic or some political topics. And we also make a research about the local club and then publish a book. And it became a database for the artists and designer and architect to work together with the local farmers in the future. In 2012, we organized the Yixin International Photo Festival. We invite some international photographer like Ivan Ban to take photo for the local vernacular architecture. And then we install all the exhibition in more than 17 venues in 7 villages. It's very special experience for me as a curator to realize the idea, exhibition idea in the rural area. Because as you can see, we have to, because the car cannot go inside the village, we have to get the hose to help to shipping all the exhibit material inside the village. And also we produced this passport for Bishan Commune. It's originally Bishan Commune is a kind of a utopian idea. I really want to realize some idea about, let's say, consensus decision-making system, also about a new idea of commons. When we try to look at the idea of commons, I have this inspiration from the Chinese classical traditional agricultural field system that means 井田制, the welfare system. It's a kind of a communism idea in about 3,000 years ago, that people divide a bigger piece of land into 9 small pieces. And the eight small piece of land along the central actually was farming by the individual. But all the people have to farming together for the central one, the public land. So it's really similar to the model of co-housing today in Northern America and in New Zealand or Australia. In some hippies commune or intentional community, people, they live together in a community. They have their own individual bedroom, but they share everything in the common house together. So to try to realize this, we opened a bookstore in the village, the Bishan bookstore. The old building actually was empty for many years. The property was owned by the villagers collectively, and we tried to ask the agreement from the villagers. They can learn the building for us to open a bookstore. Actually, we keep the property issue aside and trying to give a new function for the old building space to activate the old building as a very successful public space. When the bookstore opened, there's a lot of people from outside and a lot of people from the local, and they went there for reading, for share internet, everything, and the local villagers also like it very much. That made me thinking of this. In 2013 in Rome, there's a theater, 18th century theater was because the financial crisis. The Roman government don't have money to keep on running this theater. And then there's some Italian intellectual, they occupy the theater and they organize a lot of events. And then they activate the old building, old theater as a very successful public space. And at the same time, they created a new commons beyond their property. So we did the same thing in Bishan. And this year, because I'm very interested in the Chinese traditional agriculture, and then I decided to found a new space called School of Tiller. Actually, School of Tiller is a kind of school of philosophy school in about 3,000 years ago. It's about this school of philosophy. They insist to whatever you are a king, you are intellectual, or you are ordinary people, you should working together and farming together. And agriculture is the base of the country. So we're trying to rebuild a contemporary agrarianness in the village. So this is a very old space. Before I purchased it, it's very dirty and empty for many years. And then I transferred it into a new space, including a gallery, cafe, drug car, learning center, and library. It's really like a common house for the villagers. People can share it and use it. And we also organize a lot of cultural activity for them. Like we organize a 3D photo exhibition by a Slovenian photographer. He took a lot of portraits for the local villages. And when people saw with the 3D glasses and saw their portraits, the villagers got very exciting. And they are very, also the local villagers are very proud when they see, okay, in the village we have a new space, everybody can use it. And it's also very important, I totally settled down in the villages with my family and became the neighbor with the local villagers. So, and through this platform of the School of Tila, we also trying to design and produce a lot of products and help, and at the same time help the local villagers to sell their product, like these agricultural products and these handcraft products by the villagers and the tea by the local villagers. And it's very exciting because I have very strong idea on utopian. So this year I designed, because I was invited by Polimoda school from Florence to participate in an exhibition in Florence. And then I decided to design the agritopian dress for Bishan Commune. Actually, this kind of dress was designed for the young people who live in the city. We try to engage the young people in the city that can move back to the countryside. We used a lot of the local, the traditional texture. And we also designed the anarchy hangers and SOT hangers. And to engage more young people to move to the countryside, we also make a photo fiction story that engage people to get involved in the new Back to the Land movement in China. And this year, I start to learn work from the local villagers. Okay, and then he became my very good friend. And then, okay, talking about the technology, how we can use the technology to help people. And last year, I decided to put a local villager's house on Airbnb. You know, if you are local villagers, you're going to open a home inn, you need to get a license. It's very difficult for them. But through Airbnb, we directly make photos and upload to Airbnb, and then a lot of people can book the house from Airbnb, and the business was getting very, very good. There's a lot of people, including some international people, want to book Mr. Chen's house. And because it's very successful, other villagers also asking us to put their house on the Airbnb. So, and to make the School of Tila as a public space for the villagers, sometimes we also organize some market event that let the people can sell their products by themselves. And we keep organize the exhibition. It's very interesting that sometimes we invite the European artists to make lecture or performance for them. And through this platform, you can get a lot of young people that come back to the countryside and work together with us. And we're doing farming, because actually talking about nature, it's not about the beautiful nature landscape. Nature means natural resources, including water, land, air. We going back to the countryside and keep all the nature things for a good situation. Since there's a lot of young people come, this year I'm trying to distribute a local community currency that we can exchange labor. We don't pay money. We also use this local currency, the Bishan hour, to activate the second-hand product and activate the labor exchange in the community. So it is so important to live in the villages, to become the neighbor of the local villages. And in the future, I hope more and more people that can go back to the land. Thank you.
Thank you very much.